Hello viewers, in this video lecture we are going to see some of the very important characteristics a poem should have to be called an elegy. These questions and these points are very important for whatever competitive exam you might take on English literature. Here we go. An elegy is also known as a monody, a threnody, and a dirge. What is known as elegy is also known by such other names as monody, threnody, and dirge. So, what you have to understand is all these words elegy, monody, threnody, and dirge signify the same kind of poem. So, all these are synonyms. We will see the different kinds of elegies that are there. Though elegy, monody, and threnody mean more or less the same, dirge is different a bit because dirge is a song rather than a poem. So, what is the meaning of elegy? We all know that elegy is some kind of poem. In earlier times, any poem that had some kind of lamentation about it was labeled an elegy. This was in the early English period. All the poems that were written in early English period or old English period had some kind of melancholy about them, had some kind of sorrowfulness or gloom about them, and these poems in those days were labeled as elegies. So, almost all the poems that were written in Old English period, like the Seafarer, the Widower, the Wanderer, and the Deor, they can all be conveniently called elegies because all these poems are not written on a happy note, they don't celebrate anything, rather, they are some kind of gloomy or doleful reflections on life and the problem or problems it throws at us. So, all these poems can be called elegies. But in course of time, the meaning of this particular word elegy also changed. When we call a poem elegy in the present context, it does not mean the poem that we are referring to has some kind of melancholic note about it. The meaning of elegy has in a way contracted rather than meaning any poem which had some kind of melancholic note. It now signifies a poem that commemorates a dead person. That is, a poem that deals with a dead person has come to be known as an elegy. And English literature has got a good number of elegies written by prominent poets about their friends, family members, kings, or whoever they liked who had died. At one point of time, there was a culture, there was a tradition where the friends and family members of the deceased, that is the dead person, would write quite a few elegies and throw those elegies with the coffin in the grave. In this manner, Lycidas by John Milton is an elegy, and this particular elegy commemorates his dead friend Edward King. Milton had a classmate called Edward King, Edward King was a genius, but unfortunately he died, and Milton wrote a poem on the memories that he had shared with Edward King. This is a pastoral elegy. A pastoral elegy is an elegy where the poet imagines himself as well as the deceased person as shepherds. A very important elegy is written by Shelley also, and the name of the elegy is Adonis, and it commemorates his dead friend Keats. You might have known that Shelley and Keats were the best of friends. Shelley and Keats were both romantic poets, and they were thickest of friends. And Keats died at a very young age of consumption, and Shelley commemorates Keats in the poem by name Adonis. Next one. Matthew Arnold's Thyrsis commemorates his friend Arthur Hugh Clow. Matthew Arnold was a very important poet of the 19th century, and he has penned an elegy called Thyrsis, and this elegy is in the memory of Matthew Arnold's closest of friends by name Arthur Hugh Clow. Our next one. In Memoriam is the name of another elegy, and this one was written by Alfred Lord Tennyson. And Alfred Lord Tennyson wrote In Memoriam to commemorate Arthur Henry Hallam, who was his friend and who had died. So, if you are preparing for exams like UGC NET or sets conducted by different state governments, it's very important for you to remember the names of these famous elegies, their authorship, that is, people who wrote them, as well as the names of those who these poems commemorate. And at the same time, elegy could mean a poem which has death as the theme. It may not commemorate any dead person. It is enough if the theme of a particular poem happens to be death. So, death in general, not a particular death, but death as common. So here we have Thomas Gray's elegy written in a country churchyard. Thomas Gray has written a beautiful elegy called Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard, and it is not about the death of any particular individual, but death in common. And this again is labeled as an elegy. This poem, Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard, is very important, and it is said that the country churchyard, which is the inspiration behind this particular poem, is at a place called Stoke Poges. So this is about elegy, which is known as monody, threnody, dirge, and all these things. It could be about the death of one particular individual, or it could also be about death in general, that is about death of everyone. So it is very important for us to remember the different elegies that are there in English, the authors who penned them, and the dead people whom these poems commemorate. Thank you for watching. In the coming days, I am going to upload quite a many videos on all aspects of English literature. Please watch my videos and subscribe to my channel Ahmed School of English.